Welcome back to Blue Ridge Silverhound. Yes, of course, we're going to talk about more coins that you can find and change. Okay, it could happen. The more coins you go through, the better your chances, as always. So what do we have on the docket today? Well, we have a couple really interesting coin errors. Okay, somehow, some way, the U.S. Mint just keeps cranking out all these errors, all these things for collectors and searchers like you and I to look for and possibly make money off of. If you're not collecting error coins, obviously you would be selling these things. So of course, the US Mint starts out with a blank slate. Okay, what you see in front of you looks like just a brown disc or a brown circle. Okay, what this is actually your blank canvas. Okay, it's called a blank planchet. It's what every coin starts out as. All right, and then it turns into this. Ta-da! Now, of course, the blank planchet, is kind of brown. It's patinaed, but this coin right here, this 1982 Lincoln cent, is supposed to be the byproduct of a few steps in the minting process, and then voila, you have this beautiful coin here. But what's the fun in that? All right, we want to see some mint mix-ups, some real disasters, and I want to be able to make some money off of it. So what are we talking about here today? Well, if this is the end product of such a coin, obviously there are a few things that could happen along the way. All right, that could totally mess up the ultimate plan of the U.S. Mint to really put together a really nice presentation, okay, in this Lincoln cent here. So what happens if it turns out like this? Ooh, what is this thing? Well, first of all, it kind of looks like a Jefferson nickel. Am I wrong here? The intended final product was supposed to be a Lincoln cent, and then now all of a sudden we have a really cut off, cropped version of a Jefferson nickel that was struck on that copper planchet or copper coated zinc. It really depends on which generation of blank we're talking about. Is it the pre-1983s or the post-1982s? Really depends. But yeah, this right here is a byproduct of a blank being in the wrong place at the wrong time. All right, really what the U.S. Mint really wanted to do is intend on building nickels. Okay, and instead, somehow, some way, a blank cent planchet made it into a batch of nickel planchets. And so there we go. We have quite a phenomenal looking error. All right, it's not every day that you could say, oh yeah, I look through my coin rolls and I look through pocket change and I pulled out a nickel that looks like the size of a penny and is even copper colored. I have found one in my lifetime, and as a matter of fact, it's a coin that probably one of my best error coin discoveries ever in the 20 plus years that I've been in coins. Okay, so I'm happy to say that this is absolutely searchable. My example was discovered about 9 years ago. I mean, it looks pretty well worn, but a Jefferson nickel struck on the wrong planchet like this is an absolute marvel. And I can honestly say that this is one of the more common types to see the Jefferson nickel struck on the cent planchet. However, you can find also quarters and half dollars. Oh man, the half dollar is insane. When you only get a very little piece of Kennedy's profile on a cent planchet, especially when it's BU red, when it's got that minty red color to it, like it's just freshly struck. Truly marvelous. It's phenomenal. It's crazy. I don't know a lot of people that have found some of those higher denomination off-metal strikes, but the very few that there are out there, that is certainly the rarest of the bunch. I think there was probably even maybe one or two of the I don't know if it's Susan B. Anthony or the Eisenhower dollar that was struck on a cent planchet, but you know, I think that also exists, and those have sold probably close to $10,000 at one point through like one of the big auction houses online. But how much are we talking about for a coin like this? Now, keep in mind, you would have to be quite the slinger of pennies. Okay, so if you coin roll hunt a lot of pennies, that's going to be your best bet. This thing will stick out. It's going to stick out, you know, like a sore thumb. Okay, in this case. So I'm happy to say that nice raw examples like this have sold between $100 and $200. Okay, it's the more common off metal strike, the Jefferson nickel on the penny blank. So you know, if you wanted to buy one for yourself, it's not an expensive error. However, if you do find it, you will have the opportunity to make a few dollars off this coin. So that's kind of nice. But this is one such variant. So I have a secondary kind of error that kind of falls along the same wavelength, the same path as the Jefferson nickel struck on the penny blank. All right. So what happens if the penny has already been struck? Okay. What is the byproduct of that? Well, what does it look like? Well, I'm happy to say that you get some really neat effects. Okay, you get, on the case of this image that just popped up, you get a coin that not only do you have a strong Jefferson strike, but you could also see some of that prior existing Lincoln cent details mixed right in to the Jefferson nickel strike. Okay, truly marvelous looking coin. Okay, so the way that this is classified in the error community is a Jefferson nickel struck on a already struck Lincoln cent. I hope I didn't lose you. As opposed to it being struck on a penny blank. All right, where you have that blank canvas. So as you can see on here, okay, and I'm going to tell you a little way of kind of identifying whether or not this is a legitimate error or one that has been manufactured in Joe Schmo's garage, okay, because people have tried before and have failed miserably because there's a lot of tails when it comes to this sort of thing. First of all, when you're looking at this coin, okay, so you have a comparison right here of both the reverse of a Lincoln Memorial cent and you also have the error coin in question. If you look at it on a true overstrike of another coin, you're going to have the raised devices, whereas if someone tried to press 2 or 3 coins together like a sandwich with a vise or maybe, you know, with pliers, okay, you're going to get a different effect. On the garage job is what I'm going to call it throughout the rest of this video, you're going to get devices that are going to be in cuse. Okay, so you guys are probably asking, you know, Blue Ridge, what are we talking about when it comes to in cuse? Those design elements are making an impression onto the coin as opposed to those features being raised off of the coin like they're intended to. If you looked at a regular Lincoln cent, those features, the columns on the memorial are raised. Okay, they're not impressed in the coin. So that's how you're going to tell exactly, you know, the difference between a legitimate example and one that has been kind of counterfeited, and we got some underground shenanigans going on there. So that's the obverse of the error coin. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back, because there's less identifying features of the Lincoln cent on that Jefferson nickel. And this is kind of interesting. When you look at this coin right here compared to the fully struck Lincoln cent to the left, obviously the only thing you have is a little bit of shadow of Lincoln's bust, okay, which is right underneath Monticello. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, if you look at this coin right here, again, you kind of have that dirty halo effect. You don't really have strong prior devices, okay, from that Lincoln cent on here, okay, but it's good to know that you have it on the obverse where it matters most. So it's like a flip over. Usually sometimes People love the flip over style where you have the reverse of one coin impressed upon the or showing up on the obverse side of the coin on an error like this. Now let's talk values. How much are we looking at for this type of coin right here? Well, these are pricier, okay? It's not every day that you come across the error like the first one where a coin like Jefferson nickel has been struck on a blank cent planchet, but it's really, really rare to find a Jefferson nickel struck on an already struck Lincoln coin, all right? So take whatever the prices I had given you for the first variant, times it by about 3 or 4, and then that's kind of going to be where you're looking at. Okay, it's quite a bit more expensive. So if we're talking $100 to $200 for the first variant of that error with the Jefferson on blank strike, okay, for one like this where the Jefferson struck on a Lincoln cent, you're going to be looking somewhere in the $400 to $500 range, okay, for this denomination. Now you get into the higher denominations like quarters and half dollars, they're worth a lot more. Ridiculous amounts of money. I've seen them as high as $5,000 to $10,000 in the past. So they have quite a bit of value. But these are going to be coins that are just, you're going to know when you find one, okay? Because it's going to look unlike anything else that you see in the rest of the coins that you're looking for. My best bet is to certify it, all right? And you could certify it with some of the lesser expensive grading companies like Annex and NGC, or you could send it to PCGS if you so prefer, just so you get that validation that this is, in fact, a true-to-life error, okay? You're not going to have any questions, especially if you're trying to move it on the secondary market. For higher grade specimens, you're going to command about 2 times the amount of money that I had discussed. So depending on, denominations, these coins can sell for as high as $7,500 to $10,000 if and only if you have like the higher denomination strikes, okay, like your Susan B. Anthony or your Ike Dollar on copper. But all in all, this is a really great, fantastic video. I've actually had one person email me and said they had found something like this, sent me photos, and it looked phenomenal. I'm like, yeah, this is what you have. All right, let me tell you a little bit about what you have there and how much it costs. How much you could expect to sell it for. So it was great news for him. Actually, this was about 2 weeks ago, and it's great news for everybody because these coins do in fact exist. Okay, I want the U.S. Mint to continuously royally screw up in their minting, and I want them to release it out into the wild because as collectors and new collectors come in to coin roll hunting and pocket change searching, okay, we want to look for stuff like this. So thank you guys again for joining in on another fine Blue Ridge Silverhound broadcast. Thank you for taking your time. Thank you for all the views. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And as always, the best way you could support my channel is to hit that like button. And don't forget to share, subscribe, and I would love to hear your comments on this.